You're in the driver's seat of equipment that can lift thousands of pounds, but the real weight you carry is the weight of responsibility. Pedestrians don't always hear you, they don't always pay attention, and they don't always understand the danger zones around your forklift. One wrong move from either party can change everything. In this Supply Chain Proz video, we'll break down the habits, the awareness, and the communication operators need to keep interactions between pedestrians and forklifts safe. Pedestrians always have the right-of-way when interacting with forklift traffic. Forklift operators should always stop when pedestrians are nearby and make eye contact with the pedestrian. It is after this eye contact that further verbal or physical communication can occur between the forklift operator and the pedestrian to understand the direction, intention, and if one person is granting the right-of-way to the other. Forklift operators should always assume that the pedestrian will take the right-of-way unless the pedestrian has clearly communicated they are letting the forklift go first. When operating equipment close to pedestrians, it is essential for a forklift operator to understand their visibility and their line of sight. If the operator's line of sight is blocked by stacks of product, the mast of the forklift, or facility structures, the operator must understand that there exists the potential for pedestrians to be behind areas that they cannot see. If a forklift operator finds themselves operating close to pedestrians in a congested area with many pallets, special care must be taken. Operators should always proceed in a cautious pace and sound the horn frequently to communicate the location of the forklift to a nearby pedestrian. As forklift operators, we must know and understand the areas of the warehouse where pedestrians are permitted so that we can raise our guard and slow down as we operate in these areas. We should also be on the lookout for something that could occur unexpectedly, such as pedestrians popping out from behind something that has blocked your line of sight or from an area where they may not be permitted. Forklift operators should never, ever drive directly towards any pedestrian. While it may be tempting to drive up to a pedestrian in order to speak with them, don't. Further emphasizing this point, never approach a pedestrian who is standing between your moving forklift and a fixed object. Common fixed objects include facility walls, racks, guardrails, machinery, conveyors, desks, other forklifts, and pallets or product. When needing to approach a pedestrian, always approach at an indirect angle. Pull up beside them with the forklift instead of directly towards them. In the event that the brakes of the forklift fail, there is a temporary lapse in your attention, or the pedestrian does something erratic that is not expected. The pedestrian will not be in any danger of being struck in the drive path of the forklift. Never use a forklift to stack material intended for forklift movement onto another material while a pedestrian is nearby. There are many hazardous scenarios where a pedestrian could have a body part become trapped between the stacked materials, struck due to an operator's blocked line of sight when stacking, or they could make a sudden movement that places them in the path of the moving lift. Some general best practices for working in close proximity with pedestrians include always check a forklift's blind spot and sound the horn before backing up. Before lowering a pallet, verify that no pedestrians are in the area. Never let a pedestrian walk under your raised forks. And when a pedestrian does approach the forklift, ensure that the lift is stopped while that pedestrian remains within the forklift's safety circle. The forklift safety circle is an imaginary circle extending about 3 feet around the forklift. Ensure that the forklift remains stationary until the pedestrian has left the safety circle. Operators must always maintain control of the forklift that they are driving. This is an especially important point for forklift operators who have less than a year of experience operating on a specific piece of equipment. If the inexperienced operator ever feels, even for a moment, that they are not in control of the forklift, they are putting the pedestrians nearby at risk. Imagine the scenario where an operator is driving the 4,000 to 12,000 pound equipment, loses control, and collides with a pedestrian who has no protection for their body. The pedestrian has the potential to be seriously injured as a result of this collision due to a temporary loss of control by the operator. The definition of a distraction is anything that takes the operator's eyes or mind off of the safe operation of the forklift. Two of the most important times that a forklift operator must be completely focused on the safe operation of the lift are when handling a raised load and when operating in a congested area. Some common distractions that can take an operator's eyes or mind off of the safe operation of the forklift include socializing with other employees, tasks involving actions on a system scanner screen, checking or using a cell phone, or reading a document. Ensure that equipment operators always have full awareness while they are near pedestrians. If an operator is driving while distracted, they may not see or be able to respond to a collision with a pedestrian until it is too late. Have you ever seen or been part of a forklift and pedestrian collision at your job? Comment what you've seen down below. As a forklift travels across the workplace, it will go through some areas where pedestrians are more likely to be encountered and some areas where pedestrians are less likely to be encountered. Just because the task takes the forklift operator into the far corner of the workplace doesn't mean that a pedestrian also cannot be working in the far corner as well. There are some things that a forklift operator can do to set themselves up for the best chance of success in avoiding a collision with a pedestrian in areas where pedestrians are not expected to be. If an operator is traveling in a rack aisle and approaches a pedestrian from the front, slow down or stop with an excessive space between the lift and allow the pedestrian the right-of-way as described earlier in the video. If the operator is approaching a pedestrian from behind, the operator should again ensure excessive space between the forklift and the pedestrian. If the operator has the ability to go around to avoid the pedestrian by taking another route, this is preferred as there is no hazard to the pedestrian. If the operator cannot go around, the horn should be used to notify the pedestrian of the forklift's presence. If they turn around, make eye contact, and give up the right-of-way, only then can the operator pass. Never pass a pedestrian in a narrow workplace aisle without them first acknowledging the operator and granting the right-of-way. Forklift operators can ensure that they are ready to respond to any hazards, including pedestrians, by traveling in the designated operating position. This looks like the operator always facing the direction that the lift is traveling in reverse due to the mast blocking the field of view of the operator. The operator's hands should be located on the forklift controls at all times, and the operator's compartment is free of miscellaneous items. Blind intersections occur when two aisles cross and the operator cannot see someone approaching from the side aisle due to something blocking their line of sight. This most often occurs in bulk floor storage areas or when exiting racking. Blind intersections can also be created by product, building walls, other equipment, and many other various items. As the operator approaches a blind intersection, they should slow down and come to a controlled stop, sound the horn, use mirrors and direct line of sight to check for pedestrians and other equipment. Only then can they proceed safely into the intersection. If operating at a high speed while turning, centrifugal force can cause a load on the forks of a forklift to be shifted or even to fall off. This is especially dangerous to nearby pedestrians if they are in the path of the falling pallet, as they have nothing to protect them. As a forklift operator, always make turns slow and gradual, especially around pedestrians. Also, avoid any sudden starts and sudden stops. The final portion of today's video is when a pedestrian becomes a rider on a piece of equipment that another person is operating. As a general rule, there should be no riders on powered industrial trucks. There should only be machine operators, unless the machine is properly equipped and permitted by the manufacturer to have a rider. Some examples of approved equipment that allow riders include a steel cage with appropriate fall protection, a golf cart for transport with appropriate seating, and certain boom lifts or scissors lifts that have weight capacity and space for 2 employees. Forklift and pedestrian interactions happen constantly, and those moments define the safety of your workplace. As an operator, you set the standard. When you slow down, communicate, and make smart choices, others follow your lead. Safety doesn't just come from rules. It comes from people who choose to do the right thing every single time. Keep your focus high, keep your habits sharp, and help create a warehouse where everyone goes home safe. If you found value in the content of this video, like and subscribe to the channel. This is your Supply Chain Pro, out.